Kenny Gallón, how you, bro?
I'm doing all right, brother. How are you?
Man, I'm good. You're way better. You're doing way better than I am because you've been through some shit, dude.
I have.
But let's talk about before we get into all that. Let's talk about you and your career and where you're at and how you got there, I guess.
So I've been a police officer for about 8 years now, 8.5 years. I always wanted to be in law enforcement. I'm originally from South America, so I'm Colombian.
When'd you get here?
And I came to the U.S. between 6th and 7th grade, off and on. My stepdad was in the oil field, so they traveled a lot. So I went to schools in Florida while they were traveling. Then about 6th grade, I moved to Venezuela with my mom. And they put me in American schools there. So I've been back and forth, different countries, man, long time.
Yeah. Moved
here, not here. Lived in Florida for about 3-4 years. Lived in Houston, South, Corpus Christi. Due to, like I said, my stepdad being off. Well, my senior year, he finally gets moved to the U.S. He's actually from California. Get moved to the U.S. and went up in Houston, where we thought was going to be the final stop. So I go there for a few months, then he gets transferred again to Louisiana, down south Eunice, very small town. Graduated from there, and eventually they moved up here to Bossier City. Of course, I got tired of moving. I stayed on there. I'm gonna got to be a big boy. I ended up getting like a construction job for a while, and they knew I was miserable. I mean, working in the heat all day long, and 17, 18 years old. He made me an offer, said, hey, you come up here. Your mom said, if you come here, go to college, we'll pay for everything. And I packed my stuff, came to Bossier. Been here ever since.
Okay.
But, I wasn't a citizen. I was always a resident. I had my green card. I went through the whole process. When you become a resident, you have to establish residency for 5 years before you can apply for citizenship.
Okay.
So I always want to be a police. I always want to be the cop. But you have to be a citizen.
Why did you want to be a cop?
Man, it's just... I want to be able to help people. People say make a difference. I feel like over the years, I've made a difference on people that you see every day. The general public sees things that, I see things they don't see. But we interact with people on a more personal level. And sometimes we do something that makes a difference for them.
Yeah.
And I've always seen that. I got a lot of friends that are in the same department that always tell me, you need to come, can you be great at it? Of course, I couldn't at the time because I wasn't a citizen. But I always want to do it, and I've seen my friends over the years, rank up, and some retire actually now. But in 2015, I've been a resident 10 years, and I was able to finally do my citizenship. Signed up, did the paperwork. Well, it took a long time, like 8-9 months. When I finally got I got sworn in and everything. Man, I signed up, went and put in my application. In 2016, I think January, I went to the academy.
Okay.
Or I got approved, did the whole process, and then went to the academy. So 2016 is when I started my career. Okay. But as soon as my citizenship hit, it's when I went and signed the papers to become a police officer.
So you just had to wait that out? You wanted to do it the whole time? You had to wait it out?
I could have done it probably 10 plus years ago if I wanted to, but I feel like, man, God has his path. And that was my path. It wasn't my time to do it right away.
Gotcha. And
I feel like everything happened the way it did for a reason.
Yeah.
So
And
so I started in my early 30s.
Okay, gotcha. And
I turned 40 today, so.
Well, happy birthday. Today's your birthday. Thank you, man. Happy birthday.
To me, that's even a blessing just to be here. The fact that after what happened to me, that I even, with my kids and my wife, my family, that I can even celebrate today.
Yeah.
And I owe a lot of people that. So.
Yeah, man. Everybody. When I found out what happened, I was just like, man. Everybody. It was crazy because you apparently you've affected a lot of people because a lot of people come together when it happens. Yeah. That means something, because this stuff happens a lot all the time, and a lot of times it goes, kind of uncovered, and people don't say anything about it. Talk about the issues. Yeah. Let's just dive into it, bro. I'm gonna let you speak for you, and you just tell us what happened and what you can remember. And
May 2nd, we get a call. Shooting comes out in my district, which is the north side of town. I'm over there by Swan Lake, and
For those that aren't in this area, we're in like Bossier City,
Bossier
Louisiana.
City, yeah. Swan Lake is the north side of town. I was actually in my lunch. There's a little area that I park back there. When I'm done, I take my time, I eat my lunch. I actually got some grilled chicken I was eating, like I always do, minding my own business. The call comes out, and like we answer the call like I've done over the years. Got there.
What was the
wasn't
call?
much. It came out as a shooting, but
so
there
the call
wasn't
was
much information at the
Okay.
time. So we treated, over the years you learn, you treat it as is. Man, we don't know what this is. Be careful. Just don't go in there with your head, and you get called, and then that's it. When I got there, pulled up, man, there was a guy, the other gentleman that got shot, Wes Davis. Me and him have been keeping up. Great guy. He's actually told me he was just pumping gas. So when I pulled up, man, I kind of saw him. He didn't look alerted by what was happening inside. He seemed more shocked that I pulled up because I had my lights on, but I didn't have my sirens on.
So he's just a citizen.
He's pumping gas.
He's a citizen.
He works at Peterbilt.
Okay, and you're okay.
And that's
gotcha,
where he
gotcha.
pumps gas.
Gotcha.
He said to me, I always stop right here, usually get gas, and I go to work. So when I pulled up, it looked to me like he still had his hand on the nozzle. I was like, well, what's going on? And he kind of got alerted. I think I startled him. He looked like, oh crap, so what's going on? So he ducked. So I'm thinking, well, maybe he got spooked by me. So I got out my unit. Of course, I drew my gun out. I'm looking. I don't hear nothing. I don't see nothing out of place. But I didn't run in the store because unless it was an active deal going on, which at the time it was, but before I got there, there wasn't. If it's just like quiet, you kind of wait for backup. Like, hey, something's too quiet. So I waited and by then my sergeant pulled up. He pulls in, and I remember looking at him with both our Tahoes that were by the front, close to the road. And the man, it just went to shit. I remember my eyes opened back up, and I looked, and I knew it was on the ground, but I didn't know what was going on. I was kind of caught off guard. I wasn't sure what was going on. And I remember hearing gunshots going off, but man, anybody's been in a situation, it sounds like they're like 5 seconds apart. I'm telling you, it seems like everything looked like it was in slow motion. When I tell you that it was like, I could hear boom, and then boom. Now, deep down inside, it was probably going bum, bum, bum.
Right,
but man,
right.
to me, it seemed like. And then I remember multiple people getting on scene. And then when I came back to it, I looked up and I was like, oh shit, like I've been shot. Because I looked to my left and I could see blood coming out my shoulder. But I wasn't sure who, what. I was so confused. And I remember seeing one of the officers get there, which Brandon Bailey, one of my dudes from my shift. He's covering me. He has a gun out. And me and him kind of went back and forth a little bit. I see some other people. I remember seeing Officer Turner pull up. And a bunch of people, faces I recognized. But I was still kind of like, not sure what happened. Well, man, I remember they rushed me to the hospital. I get there. And then that's when I was told, man, the 2 people were killed inside. Man, you got shot, somebody else got shot. I was like, oh shit. Well, come to find out, when I got there, I pretty much got ambushed. As I pulled up, the suspect came out.
Okay.
I never saw him.
Okay.
And he started shooting, and apparently he just hit me all on my left side. So I ended up getting hit on both legs, my groin area, my shoulder, up here. And that bullet up here hit my spine, which makes sense why I was knocked out. So I watched the video.
Okay.
It's cringy to watch, like I was telling you. It's cringy to watch.
What does that look like?
So it's
watching the
actually
video, like, from a tactical standpoint, or like.
So when I pulled up, it's the camera that's from my Tahoe is facing out. I haven't seen the body camera footage. I don't know if I ever will. Not that I care to watch. I don't have to.
Right.
It was an option for me to watch. I didn't have to. And to answer a lot of questions because I wanted to see like something makes more sense when I see what happened. Not that you want to see yourself get shot, but it answered a lot of questions.
Right.
And when he came out, he was behind his vehicle. And of course, you can't see anybody come out. And when he shot towards my direction, you see me run to the right, I guess to take cover. And then he hit me all on my left side. But the bullet that hit my spine locked me up. Because you see me kind of run and then just like I stopped and looked like I was frozen in time and I just fell face first. which is I ended up breaking my nose. My septum got shoved to the right. I'm pretty sure I broke my shin in the process, and you see me hit the floor, and I was out. And then all of a sudden, you see me come back. Like a few seconds later, within seconds, I was like back up. And then I could hear, I didn't hear it, but I heard it in the video. My sergeant was telling me, Kenny, get up, Kenny, get up. And I guess I heard that, and I just rolled to take cover. And that's when there was an exchange of a shootout and all that. And
Okay.
just, it happened so fast. Like, there's just no way to tell you. It happened so quick that by the time I realized what was going on, it's like he was already in custody.
Yeah.
So,
Well, luckily you moved that direction, or would have hit you even more dead
if
on.
I would have sat there, I think it caught me on the front, or if I'd have just stood there, and not did anything.
Right.
So,
Well,
you over there always tell you, take cover, or don't. If you sit still, you're a sitting target. But if you move, it's harder. It's a harder target to hit when you're moving.
yeah.
See what I'm
Especially
saying?
when you don't know where they're bullets are
Right.
coming
So they
from.
always tell you, we train. You don't sit still when you reload. You don't sit still. You move, because a moving target is harder to hit than a sitting target.
Yeah.
So.
And this person, so the crime and everything that went down. So this is one suspect, one shooter.
Right. At the time, we didn't know that.
Okay.
We just knew that there was somebody.
Right. You just knew there was someone with a gun, or multiple people. Right. So what did he because I saw he got indicted yesterday, I believe.
Right. So he got indicted on the people. I guess they do it in sections. So the two indictments he got yesterday for the two people he killed inside.
Okay. So do you know what happened? What transpired there before you got there, during, and
all we know is that from what I was told, he was believed to be in the run from a homicide in Alabama.
Okay.
I was told that I think he killed his girlfriend, shot like 4 of her family members, and then just went on the run.
Whoa.
Kind of went.
This is like a cold-blooded dude, not worried about,
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, I don't think he, the old typical, they think he snapped, because I don't think he had much in his background.
No priors or anything? To
make him seem your typical, people always say, oh, that dude's got to have a bad history. I don't think he even had that much.
Okay.
But yeah, I guess he was on the run, and man, I-20, it's a big stretch of interstate. It's happened to stop in Bossier City.
Yeah.
He could have stopped anywhere. Could have stopped in Halton.
But I'm wondering why would he, was it going in there to rob the place?
Based on what I do, if I had to guess, he was on the run. He probably ain't got no money. Because, you don't want to use credit cards, so he's probably thinking, but why he did it the way he did, I don't know. Man, I feel like the people inside, for one, lost their lives for no reason. Like, he could have came in there, and if he wants to just rob the place, man, just rob the place, get your money, and leave him alone. And probably would have drawn less attention.
Yeah.
But hey, man, they came in here, guy just put a gun at me, took my money, and left. But man, just cold-blooded, killed 2 people for no reason. And then, unfortunately for him, I was less than 20 seconds away. If you see where I was parked and where the gas station is, about less than 2 miles. Mm-hmm. That's how close I was. That's why I got there so quick.
Yeah.
And I think we just threw his plan off when he realized, oh shit, the cops are here already. And I think his last was I think he wanted to go out in a shootout type deal. But I think he also went into panic mode.
Did he surrender on scene?
Well, he took off, and eventually our guys.
That's right. It was a chase situation.
We always do. So you're typical in the shooting. You want to set up a perimeter. So if there's a bad guy or suspect in the area, you want to contain that area in case he's in the area. Well, he happened to be like towards that La Bossier, I think. Yeah, La Bossier in the back, the hotel.
Okay.
He ran that way.
Okay.
But he's not from here, so he probably thought he'd just kind of blend in. And man, we have a lot of good officers, jammed up officers, that just something didn't seem right about the guy. So they got out with him, asked him questions, and he gave the wrong answers, and they went ahead and detained him.
Okay.
And then somebody said, hey, that's going to be y'all's guy. And by then, he was already in custody.
Got you.
So he didn't put up a fight or nothing. I think he just realized he's screwed. Surprisingly, after what he did to me, I feel like that's kind of weird, because he already shot and killed people. Like, you would think he was going to go out, the old movie style, just go out with a bang type.
Yeah.
Of man, he realized he was screwed up. He screwed, and that was it. So,
well, and have they brought charges against him for your?
Yeah, so I think total he has and 5 or 6 charges, including against me. But I guess when they indict him, they do him in different sections.
Right. This court has to indict him here based
because
on that.
you know, he's got charges pending in Alabama.
Right.
But he has to face the charges here first to be extradited. They can't just send him back over there because he's facing charges here.
Got you.
And this Louisiana, I'll be honest with you, he'll probably never see Alabama because it's a hardcore state when it comes to, you know, putting people in jail, and he would have to do whatever time he has here before he can face the time over there. And I think he's 50. So I'll be honest with you, he'll probably never go to Alabama.
Well, what type of bullets was he shooting? What type of gun?
I got hit with a 45.
45, okay.
Yeah, I believe it was a Glock 45.
Okay.
And I got hit, I've been told 3 times total on my body. I'm not sure total everything, but me personally, both my legs were hit. Like I said, my groin area and then my shoulder. So I got 3 in and outs, like, and then this bullet just went in and got stuck in after it hit my spine, it got stuck in my neck. And I had that bullet for 7 weeks in me, and then it was surgically removed, luckily. Because at first they weren't sure they're going to be able to take it out. And I was really worried that I was going to have either my career was done because of that, or just in general having anything close to my neck, like it's cringy. Like people say, well, Kenny, you got shot. I said, yeah, but that part's over with. I don't want anything that's not supposed to be in me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I guess over the weeks, the bullet moved away from my spine. And my doctor, she's awesome, Dr. Notoriani at Oshner. She said, hey, you ready to get it out? And I was like, oh, shit. Like, I went in for a checkup thinking, like, she's going to tell me the worst. And she goes, no, let's get it out. So, like, man, a week later, they surgically removed it. Well, but I've had 3 surgeries total.
Okay. What, because whenever you see everything go down and you see everything start coming out, like, the officer was shot, so-and-so, and then I found out it was you. And then, so this happened, and you were still, I guess, you're still awake and aware. You just, some things are fuzzy. Like, so from there, they transfer you. At any time, did you go unconscious, or did you
I don't think I think the only time I did was when I hit the ground and I got blacked out because I hit my face on the ground. Okay. And I think a few seconds, I don't know if it's my survival instinct kicked in or just me in general, because I'm hard-headed, just kicked in, and then you see me like pop up like, oh shit. But what I remember is from the time I got hit to about the time that I was like coming to, there was a window in there that I don't remember much but from what I've been told by other people, then it's coming back together slowly.
Got you.
And then once I woke up, I was always.
So you never were out again, so you were there once the ambulance arrived.
People have told me, they're like, "Oh, Ken, you were looking at us like, hey man, I'm fine, like thumbs up," and I'm thinking, I don't remember that, but I'm like, sounds like something I would say. I'm okay. You know, they're probably thinking like, no man, you got shot, like. But you know, when you're in this career, you're prepared. And what I mean by that is, you know, it's my job to do what I have to do to protect the public, or, you know, I know what can happen to me, and what happened to me is part of my job. So you mentally prepare yourself. Some people aren't, like Wes, he's like, man, I was just pumping gas. Like he didn't think I was gonna get shot for pumping gas today, right. So he's probably thinking, like, he asked me all the time, how do you do it? I said, what do you mean? I said,
so he got shot too?
Yeah, Wes, he's the other survivor. He got shot, and then he was shot one time, and he almost died on scene. Like, his main artery got hit on his left leg, and Officer Turner put a tourniquet and saved his life. But he was like, although I got shot multiple times, he almost died on scene because he was like damn near bleeding to death. Yeah. And so he was actually rushed first, and they were still kind of working on me on scene. Okay. So that's how I kind of knew, okay, something's wrong, but something's got to be somewhat okay, that they're not taking me right away.
Right, okay.
Or at least that's how I'm thinking and then I remember then we all took off, and then I get there, and that room that you go in, which is like the trauma room, which I brought multiple people in, suffering from gunshots or whatever. I'm like, oh crap, here we go again. Like, I know this room. Yeah. But normally I'm the one standing out, not in it's like 40 nurses, man. It feels like a show. Yeah. I'm laying there and everybody's just asking 1,000 questions, but I get why they're doing it. And then they took me for surgery, because that's when I found out I was hitting the groin area.
What was that like? What happened?
So when they first told me, dude, I freaked out.
You thought
I'm
you
like,
shot
oh
your dick
shit,
off, bro.
like, you know, you joke about it. You always say, I work a lot of cases where people shot themselves down there, and it's never been like.
Never a good thing.
And then now here I am, but I was pumped with morphine, man, so I didn't feel nothing. And I panicked. I went to look, and they're like, "No, chill. You're like, your dick is fine, dude." Like, they were more like, balls got hit, man.
Yeah.
It was like, we're not gonna sugarcoat it. I was like, ah, crap. So I'm thinking the worst. Like, well, there goes that. Like, and they took me back there, and they did surgery, and everything's good.
Cool.
It's just I can't tell you that. Just don't get shot in the balls. All I gotta tell you, that shit hurts. You know what I mean? So that was more like oh crap. And then by then, I didn't know at the time that I had a bullet still in me. So that's when somebody came in and said, "Hey, why doesn't he have a neck brace?" I was like, "A neck brace? Like, you got a bullet in you?" I was like, "Oh shit!" And that's when I realized, no, I had the bullet that went through here was still stuck in me. I didn't even know that at the time.
Could you feel
it? So
it?
I'm moving around, you know, doped up on pain med and thinking I'm good, and they're like, "No, quit moving your hand, like there's a bullet." I was like, I could feel like pain here, but it was more like a workout pain. Like, oh my God, you know, I worked out the day before, it's sore. But that's because, you know, I had so much pain medicine on me. By then I thought I was Superman. Oh yeah, I'm fine, no big deal. And I realized, and then as that stuff wears off, you start to realize how much that
so
shit
you could
hurts.
feel it in there afterwards.
Afterwards, yeah, I could push down here, and I knew it was like close to my skin. And I was like, that's kind of cringy. You know, for a while I just sit there and I'm like, damn bullet in my neck. Like, this ain't normal.
Yeah.
Like, most people don't just have a bullet. But for a while they kept telling me they weren't even sure they're gonna get it out, and I was like, that's gonna suck because I love what I do.
So, and that was my next question too. Well, before we get to that, like, so the damage is caused. I'm sure we don't know prolonged what that is, but for the time being, what are you experiencing now since you went through this?
So I have nerve damage on my left leg from my knee to about my ankle. The front part of my leg, I can't feel. Like, if you push, just feel, like I know somebody's pushing or putting pressure, but I can't feel it, and it feels like your leg's constantly tingling. I mean, and it's like it's burning. The inside of my leg always feels like it's on fire. I take gabapentin for that daily, for the nerve, for the pain. Real sore on my neck area. I'm dealing with pain on my neck that I'm having to figure out what's going on there. Both legs where the bullets hit, they're okay, just sensitive. My leg kind of gives out every now and then when I'm walking. And then I guess I have like a limp. I guess people say I kind of look like I'm limping sometimes. I don't guess I notice it so much, but then if I sit too long or you know, like driving, I found I was able to start driving after about 2-3 months. If I sit too long, like in a car, man, I get nauseous for some reason. So I have to like constantly move when I'm driving. So usually my wife drives if I have to, if I don't want to drive.
Right.
Excuse me, for that reason.
So from here, this happens to you, and you still want to go back. So that means something, right? I mean, because most people got to think, like, I would think if you've been told by people, when you have this conversation
I've been told
colleagues,
by people,
they're like, hey man, you need to come back.
And I love what I do, man. I guess because I've been mentally, my wife, she's like,
hell no,
yeah. But she knows my passion.
Right.
I mean, we have probably combined 40 plus years of law enforcement in this family, including, you know, her dad, brother, cousins. We have a bunch of people in law enforcement. She knows what I love doing. She's my wife, so she's going to tell me how she feels, but she's not going to ever stop me from doing what I love doing. She knows that I want to go back. She just wants to make sure that, hey, just make sure you're 100%. Physically and mentally, because the mental part is harder than the physical part.
That's what I want to talk about next. So, like, where are you at there, and what does that feel like? Because I mean, so many people. Look, man, I've had people on. We talk about tactical situations, bullets, and all this shit. And I've had people on who's, you know, had delivered multiple fatalities overseas and things like that. So many people have been in scenarios, and so they, you know, they're reluctant to talk about it. And there's so many people that have their opinion and have no fucking clue what they're talking about, you know, and they probably never will, you know.
Yeah, but this is rare. Like, most people go in law enforcement don't even, you know, fire their gun once.
Right.
And I then near got, you know, murder on duty. Mentally, I'm okay. Luckily, my wife, she's Man, she's a trooper. She keeps up with make sure that she sees signs. She's like, hey, I'll talk to a few people about it. I talk to a counselor.
Yeah.
Definitely recommend it, man. The worst thing you can do in anything, and that's anything major, talk to somebody. I tell people, I've lost a lot of friends to suicide that just never talk to people. And they're not here because I've lost 5 friends to suicide.
Man.
And, you know, a lot of people go through something traumatic, and it's like their last way out is, you know, I'm going to end it and be done with it. I got 2 kids, man. I got a 16-year-old and 9-year-old that I love to death, my son and my daughter. I'd do anything for them. And the last thing I want them to see is, they know daddy's hurt, but that is a word. Like, I want to make sure they see that, hey, you can overcome anything. So don't.
Looking for a new ride? I got the spot for you. SBC Autos is the premier auto dealer in North Louisiana. Whether you're shopping for that first car for your kid, looking for that primo luxury ride, a new truck for work and play, or even that custom classic car, they're not your cookie cutter dealership. Service and quality is second to none. Flexible finance options, master service techs on site, best reviews in the area, family owned and operated. You just can't beat them. No hassle, no BS. SBCautos.com. Look them up now.
Don't let it get to you. Talk to somebody if you have to. So I have ways of dealing with, like, I play video games. Man, it's like my pastime. My wife doesn't bother me with it. She's
What
like,
do you play?
I play like Call of Duty.
Like, like some old school stuff? Or
yeah, I mean, I have.
stuff?
You know, I built.
Like
I was saying, I built my own PC, so I got all kinds of games. And my son, you know, we're outdoorsy people, but right now I can't do much because of my injuries. So me and my son will play, like, man, we play Roblox.
Okay.
We play Fortnite together. We play, you know, stuff like that keeps my brain moving.
Mm-hmm.
Or my train, like I was training jiu-jitsu before I got shot.
Right.
I love it. Can't do it right now, but my son's still doing it, so I get to watch him train still. And I've had him doing it for almost 5 years. My daughter plays tennis. I love watching her do that. So keeping myself busy, my brain busy, has helped out a lot. Mm-hmm. You know, sitting at home and not doing anything, it sucks. Like, I want to go to the gym, I want to do this, I want to do that. But as long as I keep myself busy, man, I'm good. Yeah. And luckily, I have a lot of support system. I've had a great support system since day one. And I got people constantly calling, checking on me. You know, I got people that just call me, we talk for hours just because they know, hey, what's up? Like, next, 3 hours later, I'm like, oh shit, we've been on the phone for 3 hours, dude. But it's good. It's good to know that I can call anybody anytime. My department has been amazing. They've had my back since day one. You know, my chief, he's awesome. He's always constantly checking on me. Hey, you good? You know, you need anything? You know, they're constantly. And just the support system, I think, has made a big difference for my recovery, mentally and physically. So
yeah. Well, I mean, it's a lot, man. It's a lot to think about. Like, you go from one thing to another immediately without no control over it. You know what I mean? Luckily, I'm just thinking every time you say that, like, that you were moving. You know what I mean? Because the way you said it and the way that you're putting the scenario out there is that had you not moved quickly to the right, everything would have hit you center mass, you know, or head.
Your training kicks in when you don't even realize it.
Well, that's another thing. You're still, so do you think and this is a weird scenario, thing to bring up, but being that you're the person it happened to, I feel like it's appropriate to talk about these things. You think you being in shape and staying active helped you in that scenario? Like, you say you do jiu-jitsu and you're in shape and you take care of yourself.
I was told by doctors that just the way you're built, just, you know, everything that you've done, it's, you know, you're still here because of that.
Right.
The fact that you moved the way you did, 10 years ago, shit, my ass would have moved like that. I worked out thinking I got to move, you know, I can lift the car.
Right.
You start getting over the years, you realize being strong is cool, man, but being able to move.
Right.
Like, I've trained jiu-jitsu for the last 2-3 years. Yeah. There's guys in there that are, man, 300 pounds that move like they're 100 pounds. And I'm thinking, holy shit. Yeah. How's this guy that's like 300 something pounds move better than I did? And then I get in there and roll with it. I'm like, I get my ass tore up. Bro, over the time you realize, man, teach your body to move, like react. Reaction is a big deal in this career. If you can react to whatever comes at you, you'll be fine. But man, I've seen people just freeze.
That's the worst thing.
I've seen officers, and I've seen videos. I've seen just people getting killed over the years just because they froze. Like, your action's like, oh shit, something's happening. What do I do? And then by then it's too late.
Do you think that it's important that people keep that in mind, that, you know, that the training, because we've been through these things over the past few years, and I've talked about it with other law enforcement officers as well on the show. Like, keeping everyone trained to their most ability that they can based on the department funding and stuff like that. I mean, how do you feel how important that is? Because like where it comes from tactical training, active shooter training to physical assessments yearly, not just going to shoot a gun to qualify to keep your job. You know what I mean? How do you feel about that?
So I'm a training officer, and I tell the younger guy. I say younger guy, so I'm 40 today. So I guess I am the old.
Yeah, you're the old man now.
The old man now. The department's going to give you what you need, your equipment, whether it's gun, whatever, your training that you got to do yearly, but you got to put in the effort outside because they can't do it all for you. I see officers, and this is anywhere in the area. I mean, some guys are like, how do you even move? Like that's rough, man. Like, take care of yourself. Like, you see officers all the time dying of like heart attacks or just, because they can't physically do something. I'm not saying that I'm freaking, 100%, but I know I can take care of my own if I needed to.
Right.
But, do something outside besides what the basics they give you. Like, it drives me nuts that people think that, well, I got a badge now, I'm cool.
Well, they
I'm
lean
police,
on that. They may lean on that for a crutch, but you're not doing the extra work.
Right, but when you get in there, you become a liability to you, to your family, to your co-workers, to the public. You're supposed to protect them or do what you have to, and you can't even handle your own on a simple call. Like they do better, you know what I mean? And I think that's in anybody, you see officers that you can tell they take care of themselves physically and mentally, and it's not just, this ain't just a job. People think, it's a job, but this is a demanding job. Like, we're expected, there's a lot expected out of us. So let's do what we need to do to make sure we do that. Otherwise, go find something else to do. And that's, that military and all that. You see these guys that, man, they let themselves go. And then when they do get hurt, it's like somebody goes, well, that's not shocking that so-and-so got hurt. Because, man, look at him. Doesn't do anything to take care of himself.
Yeah. Well, it's something that a lot of people have comments on and opinions, but they haven't lived it. Yeah. And there's some that are inside of it that have comments and opinions that have lived it, but they, that's, screwed one way or the other because they're like, I'm here and they should supply all this for me and they should give me the motivation and they should give me the blah, blah, blah. But like you said, they give you the tools, but you have to, learn how to use those tools and continue to hone your edge and, just make the decision of what it is you're going to do with these things and, how serious you're going to take that position, I would think. But you didn't fire off a single round, right?
I didn't get
and that's another important thing too, I think, to bring up, that discipline and proper training, where someone who may have not been in a certain situation or borderline situation running in guns blazing, I think that's important to bring up, because people who knows what someone would do not trained properly in that scenario. You know what I mean?
And like, you have to assess everything so fast. Like, your brain has to process. I got there, saw this, bam, it happened. Like you said, some people come in there and had I just ran in the store,
right,
I probably did.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, I probably would be dead. I think he would have watched me go inside and I would have never saw it coming.
Yeah.
And that's what something told me not to. Like, I guess my training over the years, I've had officers over the years tell me, man, you get there, because every call, it's not ever what it seems like. You get a call and say, oh, there's been a shooting, and I've worked so many of them that you think, okay, I've been here before, there's no active gunshots going off. Let's take our time and assess. And luckily, just because of that, I was able to be, I'm here talking to you. Because I think if I just ran in there, or somebody new that had no experience but just ran in there, I think I'd be a plaque on the wall somewhere right now. And my family would be having to bury me because I made a stupid decision,
Well, that's another thing you said too. You waited on backup before you assess the scenarios, held back and waited on backup. Like, you'll see a lot of people comment, you'll be in scenarios where you have a traffic stop and maybe a weird call, so you wait on additional officer to show up to assess that situation. People just always are like, man, they're just out to get me, blah blah blah. Why do they need this many police? Like, well, I think it's important to bring up too, and for people to know that, like, every decision you make is based on the limited amount of information you have. Or your instincts, like, you're making an assessment based on instincts or experience, and then you have to be cautious because you don't know what's on the other side of that door in that building, in that vehicle. You know, like those things are, people are just quick to, you know, say something negative or bring up some kind of, you know, weird jabs at police officers because they're like, well, you know, they're just out to get us. Well, I mean, there may be some of those people that are, but like for the most part, you are here to serve and protect. You're not here to just go out and shoot everybody. You know what I mean?
And I always feel like if you got nothing to hide, first of all, why are you worried about it? Number two, if I'm getting pulled over and I see 4 people, I'm thinking, oh, that's great. I got more. If something happens, there's plenty of officers here. You know, I feel safer. In my opinion, when I got nothing to hide, I would feel more safer.
Right.
Because now I'm like, okay, now I can't have that. Because, you know, people get that when they're like, oh, that officer said this and there's nobody else to prove it.
Yeah.
Well, when you got 4 cameras looking at you, body cameras or whatever the case may be, but if you got nothing to hide, then, man, look, man, whatever y'all got to do. Now, if you do something, there are some cops out there that shouldn't be cops.
Yeah, there's some scenarios. There's scenarios.
I will back up anybody that finds somebody wrong on an officer that needs to be, you know, handled about however way. You know, hey, the department should take care of this guy because he's making the good officers look bad.
Right.
And there is some bad apples. There's some bad apples in every career. That's everywhere you go. So, you know, I always tell people, speak up. Because I tell people, you got a complaint, man, file a complaint. If the officer didn't treat you the way you want to be treated, file a complaint. And no, well, y'all just going to save each other. I said, I promise you, they're very non-biased when it comes to, because, you know, at the end of the day, the department's going to be here 100 years from now. I'm not. They're going to make sure that it has the image. You know, people here, don't go to Bossier. You know, you do your job right, people come together and they're going to support you. And Bossier Parish, man, it's amazing. The support here, that's like anywhere in the area, Halton, you know, wherever, Benton.
Yeah. Man,
both the community here is amazing. And, you know, and I saw that when my incident happened. I had people, I've had departments send me stuff, just letters that I've never even contacted. And it just shows you, and I'm not bragging, but the type of person that I am, that I've made a difference on people to the point where people have called me and I'm thinking, man, I ain't talked to you in like, 10 years. Kenny, but you were always good since day one to me. I want to make sure you're all right. And I'm grateful, very grateful.
Yeah, I think it's, I just think all those things you just mentioned, it's just better hearing it come from someone who's been through something. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like any bystander can sit around, or even the officer who haven't been through something can stand around and say things. You know, but it is important for people to know that you guys are here to help, not to harm. And the few that are, you know, those unfortunately sometimes don't get weeded out quick enough, but it seems to be that it always comes to a head and they do get taken care of. You know what I mean?
And you got to remember, we're human.
Right.
Just like you. We tie our shoes the same way. We just have to make decisions quicker than most people.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I want you to go home and I want to go home to my family.
Yeah.
And like you said, if I have to have 10 people backing me up because I feel comfortable and something ain't right, then that's what we're going to do. Or it's just me and you. And like I said, you got nothing, hell, I'll talk to you. Like, it's no, you know what I mean? People I've had traffic stops where I pull somebody over and then we're just chit-chatting about life. Because I was like, you know, people go through stuff and they're like, this is why I was speeding. And man, and I feel like we can connect. Then you know what? Forget the ticket. What's going on? And I've had people sit there, man. I'm telling you, it'd be 20 minutes. I'm like, oh crap, dude. I'm still. And they check on me and say, yeah, I'm good. You know, I'm just chit chatting with somebody. And it ain't about the, you know. Now it's just me and you talking. You know, Ken and DJ talking. It ain't like police officer and so. It's people go through stuff, man. And like you said, how you treat others. You're going to get the same respect. I've had people that I put in jail tell me, man, appreciate you treating me like a human being. I said, why wouldn't I? I say, whatever you got going on is your issues, man. I'm doing a job. And you got whatever you got going on. And I always tell people, whether I'm in the jail or outside, it is nothing personal. I'm not taking this personal. I say, if you think I'm taking this personal, then I shouldn't be a cop. Because that's one thing people understand in this career, you can't take stuff personal.
Yeah.
And people always, they called you names. I'm like, okay, whatever, dude. I'm still going home.
Well,
like, why are you mad at me? Like, I don't even know you.
Well, here's the thing. No one's ever happy when they get caught doing something they're not supposed to do. When in history have you ever seen someone get caught?
Oh, I got caught. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Thank you so much for catching me doing something I wasn't supposed to be doing. So no one's ever going to be happy to see you show up if they're doing something they're not supposed to do.
A criminal's got a job to do, and I got a job to do.
Yeah.
And either you're going to get away or we're going to catch you. I mean, that's just what it is. And people are like, well, y'all shouldn't do this. I'm like, when we do our job, you praise us, but then sometimes you don't. So which one is it? Like, we can't do it all. We can't please everybody. And you never will. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. It's just unfortunate how you have, so many people yelling from one side or the other, pro police, defund the police. You have all these agendas, and it's just more or less someone trying to seem relevant, that has no skin in the game. You know what I mean? That doesn't have any sense of meaning or anything. And then there are on the other side, there are people that have been affected. These people's victims have been victims of crimes. By police officers should not have. And those things need to be handled correctly. But then there's so many other people who, want to shout, "You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that." Well, I mean, if it wasn't for you guys, we would have turmoil. We have laws for a reason. You know what I mean? And sometimes maybe people may think they're excessive one way or the other, but we do. We have laws for a reason, and we've made it this long as a functioning country because of those things. You know what I mean? And people just seem to forget that because they get so comfortable. Yeah. You get so comfortable, then you want to do things. You want to talk shit about things because you're not going to get any repercussions for talking shit. Well,
the biggest issue is that people that know when something's wrong and they do it, and then they get caught. Yeah, it's like, dude, you knew. I didn't make you do that. Like, I just happened to get called because you're doing something stupid. And then here we are. So
someone else told me this a long time ago. I don't remember who it was, or I heard it somewhere, and I've said it forever when people make more remarks, because we've all done things and we've all broke the law at some point in our life. But ignorance of the law is never an excuse either. You know what I mean? Not understanding why a law is what it is not an excuse to break it. Right. They're in place for a reason, and you guys are just there to uphold that. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, it gets misconstrued sometimes, one way or the other.
And it makes it hard, to do your job when the public doesn't back you up. Yeah. And that's why I said I'm blessed with this community here, because as long as we do our job the way we're supposed to, man, the public's got our backs, the department's got your back. Also, when you screw up, they're gonna make sure that you screwed up. We're gonna handle up on that. Some departments don't have that luxury, and I don't know in the area, but when the department doesn't even have your own back, that's when it becomes. Then you start seeing officers not care about their jobs, or they just don't. They go to work, they show up, and they just sit there and wait for a call to happen. They're not proactive, and that's a big thing, man. Just if you're going to do this job, you need to be proactive. Interact with the public. And when I tell people proactive, they think that, no, man, just go out with. I get out. If you ask anybody in this area, they know my name, because I'll get out on foot and talk to people, man. It's just like me and you talking. Mm-hmm. Don't let the badge fool you. I'm a human being like you are. Yeah. I just love what I do. And man, there's times I go to the gas stations and I'll sit there for 20, 30 minutes. I got my radio on, make sure I take care of my district. But man, and you talk to all kinds of people, and they're like, man, and I've had people say, man, where I'm from, cops don't even talk to you. Like, this is weird to see you in here drinking coffee, chit-chatting with people. I said, man, what am I not supposed? I'm not a robot.
Well, and I think that's very important to think about, because maybe you don't see that a lot, because maybe one city or another, maybe there's not enough officers, you know what I mean, mm-hmm. whatever. But it is your community. It's your community. And you see it that way. It's apparent you see it that way, and you want to take care of it.
When you interact with the community, and you'd be surprised how many lives you change just by talking to somebody. Just they come ask you a question. I tell officers, man, just talk to them. Don't be like, hey, I'm busy. Like, man, that one question might change that person's perspective as how law enforcement is. Or you might be an asshole to them, and I guess what? We're all assholes because you didn't want to talk to them, and you had nothing to do.
You also form a sense of respect. I've noticed that with my wife. She's in law enforcement, and talking to her and how she interacts with people in her community, they respect her and bring her issues before they come to a head. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think that's very important, that people don't realize that happens. If you're doing your job and you're in those scenarios and you're talking to those people, a lot of times they'll bring you an issue before mm-hmm. it turns into something that could be way, way worse.
Mm-hmm.
And by doing what you are doing in the community, you know, I'm sure you've seen that.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, I've had people just walk up to me and, hey, you know, I have this issue here, and then I'll give them a solution. And then I see them like a week later, say, hey man, you remember that one time? And I talked to the guy, we worked it out, we're good now. As opposed to this guy dukes it out with this person, and now we're getting called that there's a fight or something because this person don't have the guidance to do what they want to do to get. Like, man, I just wanted to solve the issue. Now I'm here I am in jail because I didn't know, and nobody would help me. And I've had people say, I've asked, you know, people and they don't want to help. Man, just take the time to talk to people. It goes a long way.
Yeah,
it goes a long way.
I think it's a good thing, man. I think it's a good thing that. Well, I'm glad you're sitting here, man. I'm glad you made it. I can't remember how long we've known each other. I feel like we've known each other from the throwback nightlife and stuff. When I was doing stuff I wasn't supposed to be doing. We probably weren't.
Like I think I lived downtown back then.
Knuckleheads, bro. We're knuckleheads. I was always getting into some mischief. But yeah, and it's cool to see you on the other side, and it's cool that, you know, to be here interacting. It's finally, we're grown now. You know what I mean?
Took some time.
Yeah, man. And you've been through some things, man. And I think it's important for people to realize that, you know, like you said, you guys are human, and you can be delivering that shot or receiving that shot, and depending on how the scenario plays out, and, you know, what's happened before and what happened after, you know, pins the results, you know. And I think you're a good like living proof of, you know, something that's supposed to be here, and you're here to protect, and you're here to serve, and people.
A lot of people told me my story's not over yet, and there's something big that's going to come out of this.
Yeah.
So, and I believe that. I think that I'll know, you know, the good Lord's going to tell me, because I got some time to think about all this, because it's going to be a while before I get back to work. But I have a good guidance, you know, and I think I'll know, hey, this is your path, so keep at it. And everybody's like, don't let it go to waste. So I'm not one for attention, man. I never have been. Back then I was.
I was too, man.
But now it's like you think stuff through before you act. And over the years I've learned. I see it with my own eyes, and it's why I am where I am, because of my decisions. You know, I made better decisions now than I did 10, 15 years ago. But it's also made me a stronger and better person. Yeah. So. Well,
how does your family feel about everything? Like,
man, they're awesome. Your kids? The kids are good. Family's good. My daughter, you know, she's 16, so she's driving. I'm like, oh man, that's scary. My daughter's driving. Yeah. But it's awesome. She's becoming a little independent person. My son, he's 9 and he's active. Plays soccer, jiu-jitsu. The good thing about that came out of all this is that, because of the way my department is, and I'm able to just worry about recovering. I don't have to worry about, you know, medical stuff and all that. So I'm able to spend a little more time with my family than I haven't in years. Because, you know, law enforcement is demanding. Or part-times, you know it. Sometimes you work long hours. You get a call. It might be 3-4 hours on your right before you leave, and there's a homicide, and then you're here for 4 hours. I'm enjoying the time that I have able at home, so I can. And then my kids took it well. Thank God they took it well. I mean, they knew Daddy was hurt, but hey, Daddy's alive, so. And they knew I was going to bounce back. Especially my son. He's the youngest. I have to be careful because he's rough place with me, and I'm like, dude, chill out, bro.
Calm down, bro.
Like, calm down, bro. Like, I'm still weak. But man, and my wife's been. She's like that's my rock right there. She's making sure that I'm good, and I owe her my life, literally. She's amazing. And she's handling all this shit while I was in the hospital, the kids and the house, the bills, and yeah, she's an amazing person.
That's awesome, man. That's good to hear. I'm glad you pulled through, bro. I'm glad everything went well. Yeah. You know, it's an unfortunate turn of events, you know, what happened, but you're here. You know what I mean? You're here, and we're able to talk about it, and hopefully people can get something from that. You know what I mean? Because what else? What's the reason for talking if no one can get anything out of it?
I get that, yeah.
You got any last plugs or anything you want to say?
Man, just like I tell people, when you're dealing with stuff, I'm a real believer, talk to somebody. That's my biggest thing. That's what's gotten me through all this is, if you got something on your mind, talk about it, man, because a lot of people, my department, the fire department, Oshner, you know, I owe my life to a lot of people. I'm here because of them. You know, my wife's support, my family's support, my friends, the people that constantly check on me. That interaction with everything, you know, has made a huge difference. A lot of people don't get that, you know. And I always tell people, man, if you see somebody, call them. That phone call might make a difference. For me, it has been. And that's why I keep saying, just, man, you got to be strong. Because I got a long ways before I can get back, but I'm going to be back. So.
Hell yeah. Well, good to hear it, man.
So.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah, for sure, man.
And thanks for your service, bro.
Well, thank you, brother.
All right.